So what we're going to do now is take you through how some of the big VIP political heavyweights in Uttar Pradesh are likely to fare on the 10th of March. This is data that's being put out on India Today television for the first time, come from the India Today Access My India exit poll, so it's not out in the public domain so far. So if you're watching live right now, we're just about to tell you, and I'll start with Gorakhpur Urban, which is the seat of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Maharaj, as they call him, is up against Sabhavati Shukla of the SP and Chandrasekhar Azad Rawat of the Bhim army. Here, and not much surprises here, you've got Yogi Adityanath, who seems very comfortably placed in Gorakhpur. So he's likely to do well on his own home turf in Gorakhpur. Let's go to Karhal, which is where SP chief Akhilesh Yadav comes from. He's up against Professor SP Singh Baghel, who at one time used to be in the security routine of his father. And against Baghel, the Samajwadi Party chief seems comfortably placed. Let's go to Jaswant Nagar, which is where Shivpal Yadav is up against Vivek Sakhya of the SP. Here again, Shivpal Singh Yadav, who's come back to the SP fold, seems to be comfortably placed. He's fighting with on the same side as his nephew and seems to be doing well. Let's now go to Sirathu, which is where Keshav Prasad Maurya, the Deputy Chief Minister, is up against Pallavi Patel of the SP. This poll is suggesting it could be a close fight. Keshav Maurya possibly still in front, but a tough fight between the Deputy Chief Minister and the SP candidate Pallavi Patel. Let's go to Om Prakash Rajbhar's seat in Zahurabad. Here he's up against Kalicharan Rajbhar of the BJP. On his own seat, Om Prakash Rajbhar seems comfortably placed, or he's the more popular candidate in Zahurabad. From there, let's go to Fazil Nagar, which is where Swami Prasad Maurya, this time on an SP ticket, fighting against Surendra Kushwaha. Here you've got the BJP, which seems to be doing well, and that's where I go across to Pradeep Gupta. So a lot of these imports who came in at the last moment left the BJP. There was so much chatter ki hawa badal rahi hai, that's why they're leaving BJP, going to SP. The biggest of them all, Swami Maurya, struggling on his own seat.
Yes, actually, Rahul, as you mentioned earlier, these are the popularity quotient only. On that day, who was more popular, particularly the party. And here on this seat, Fazil Nagar seat, BJP is more popular than any other party. That's clear. And Swami Prasad Maurya, in fact, has changed his seat from Padrana. Last time he won Padrana, he won from a BJP ticket, and this time he switched the side to SP, and he has switched his seats as well.
You know, it raises questions, Rajdeep, about this hawa. Oh, that all 12 MLAs have come, 3 ministers. It seems Akhilesh is, Akhilesh is doing well. The BJP is a sinking boat. Some of these things that occupy a lot of mind space and television airtime don't end up finally in the same way.
I think the challenge, Rahul, in an election like this is that when a leader leaves a particular party to join another party just before an election, does he take his or her voters with him or her? That's the critical question. There are leaders who have been able to do that successfully in the past, and there are leaders who will struggle.
Who? When Kalyan Singh left, he couldn't carry his load voters. When Uma Bharti left, she couldn't carry her voters.
No, let me give you an example. When a Sharad Pawar, for example, split in Maharashtra, he took his Western Maharashtra Maratha vote with him, and that undermined the Congress in the immediate election that followed. NCP did solidly. If you are a leader who has a mass base that actually is identified with the individual, then there is a fair chance of you taking that vote along. You know, you just now mentioned Om Prakash Rajbhar. The Rajbhars are about 10,000 plus right across large parts of eastern UP. And Om Prakash Rajbhar has emerged as the leading face of the Rajbhar community. Now, it is not as large as the Jatav community, it is not as large as the Yadavs, but it is substantial enough to make a difference in several seats. So, he can win his seat, but can he win you the entire eastern UP? No. Are there other contenders for the Rajbhar vote? Yes, possibly. Has the BJP made a dent in the Rajbhar vote over the last 10 years? Yes. Therefore, Om Prakash Rajbhar has a limited impact. He's at best, a sort of small sub-regional satrap. The point I'm making, Rahul, and this is significant, Akhilesh Yadav's strategy was a well thought out strategy that if I can bring in many of these smaller leaders from the Kurmi Samaj, from the Nonia Samaj, from the Mauryas, I will at least be able to offset possibly some of the large gains the BJP has made among non-Yadav OBCs. The only problem is that while he has managed to get some of the key leaders, have all the followers followed the leaders? Pradeep Gupta's poll seems to suggest, and that's the only evidence I can go by, that that is not the case. The non-Yadav OBCs largely have remained with the BJP, even as significant leaders like Swami Prasad Maurya have switched sides. Let's also be honest, and this is my final point, the likes of Swami Prasad Maurya are transactional politicians. He was with the BSP.
5 parties.
He has been with Samajwadi Party. 5 parties. He's now with the Samajwadi Party. He's with the BJP and the BSP. Why should I as a voter trust him entirely? I'll tell you a very interesting story. I was in a Nishad area, and this is a warning for the Nishad party as well. I asked somebody, ये संजय निषाद आपके नेता हैं, आप उन्हीं को वोट दोगे ना? He said, sir, वो तो चॉपर में अब जाते हैं, वो और उनके बेटे जो हैं वो तो लखनऊ में होते हैं, दिल्ली में होते हैं. So you see, you have to also convince that voter of your caste community that you are there for him through a crisis. That's when you are able to build a loyalty that is unflinching across parties, and that's not happening with many of these smaller netas of UP.
You know,